Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the third video in a series that I've been doing about carrying in and around your vehicle. And specifically in today's video, I want to talk about appendix carry comfort considerations. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to kind of get more niche down and talk about comfort considerations we might want to make for carrying inside the vehicle when we're seated for long periods of time, maybe long road trips. But luckily, a lot of the things that make appendix carry more comfortable and even concealable on a day-to-day basis apply just as much when we're doing things like long road trips. So there's kind of three different categories for how you can make appendix carry more comfort. There's your overall setup, which includes things like your holster and your belt. There's also clothing considerations, things like fabric choice, whether or not you're gonna layer and how your clothing fits. And then there's modifications, and this kind of just includes mostly adding something like a wedge. So first let's talk about your setup. I kind of want to add a little bit of a disclaimer here, and that is that if you're using a holster that's not a quality holster, it's not built and purpose designed for appendix carry, you're probably experiencing some level of discomfort just solely from the holster design, and pretty much anything else that you add is going to be somewhat of a band-aid, and you're going to be dealing with somewhat of a suboptimal setup that's making this whole process a lot harder for you. So if you're dealing with something that's not a purpose-built holster for appendix carry, I would highly encourage you to kind of do your research, look into different holsters that are made specifically for that, and then kind of make your choice based off of what needs you need and your gun selection. And then when it comes to your belt, appendix carry belts are kind of a funny thing, and I don't know that I've really found the right thing to recommend to any one person. It's kind of a really personal choice, but in general, you don't want your gun belt to be able to bend this way. Obviously, you want it to be able to bend around your body, and you actually want it to be pretty bendy that way so that it can interact with your concealment features like your wedges, but a lot of gun belts are way too stiff, and if you put your gun belt on and you look down at your body from a top-down view and you see gapping in the front between your two hip bones caused by your gun belt, it's probably time to look into getting a more flexible gun belt. So remember, you want it to be stiff this way. You don't want it to be able to bend this way, but you want it to be fairly bendy around your body. Another thing that I prefer in a belt when I'm carrying appendix, whether it's my Enigma belt or a gun belt, I like to be able to adjust it on the fly because throughout the day, your body kind of changes diameter, whether you've had a humongous meal or you go from a standing position to a seated position. If you're going from walking around, you might want your belt a little bit tighter, but if you're gonna sit in your vehicle for a long period of time, you might experience more comfort by loosening your belt just a touch because your body essentially gets wider when you go to sit down. The next category is modifications. And when I say modifications, I'm mostly talking about adding a wedge to your holster. And for appendix carry, this is a really, really big consideration for comfort. And it's kind of a tough one to touch on in a short video because wedges are kind of a vast topic. It's simple to set up a wedge on your holster, but it's not necessarily simple to pick the shape that you need because all of our bodies have unique shapes, and especially depending on what gun we've chosen and where we're placing our gun, we need different shapes of wedges. And so I personally like to make my own, or I'll buy a wedge and then kind of change its shape by cutting pieces off or doing whatever I need to make it the shape that I need it to be. I'm gonna link here a video that I did on wedges on my Armed and Styled page, and then I'm also gonna link here a video that I did with Filster about holster wedges and the considerations we need to make when we're setting those up on our holsters. I personally don't use a wedge all that often, but for sure when I'm going on long road trips, more than 7 hours or so, I absolutely do add a wedge. I don't add a wedge that is necessarily helping me majorly with concealment, although it does. I'm typically choosing a wedge that has a little bit more of a pillow effect, and I'll show you the wedge that I'm using here. This is absolutely a DIY solution, but it helps me majorly with comfort on road trips. And I've actually started using this more and more on a day-to-day basis as I've started to carry my SIG P365X more often. And I'll link down in the description some different wedges that you can look into. If it's a link that's taking you to Big Tex Ordnance, I will say that I do get affiliate link stuff from there, so just know that. But any other link to any other website, I don't get any kind of affiliate anything from. I'm just recommending you guys some different wedges so that you have options to look into. And the last category is clothing. The first thing I want to talk about in this category is your general fit of your clothing. Doesn't matter so much the shirt that you're wearing, but I found, especially if I'm gonna be seated for long periods of time, I don't want a pant that is like 100% cotton. I don't want something that will absolutely not stretch at all, because like I said earlier, your body is changing width throughout the day as you eat and sit and stand and do all kinds of things. And so I like for my pants to have a little bit of stretch to them, but I would definitely discourage you from buying a pant that is too big for you, because that's gonna cause different issues. So for day-to-day stuff, I like to choose something that has just a little bit of stretch in it. It doesn't have to be a sweatpant or even a jegging or anything like that. Just something that has a small amount of spandex in the jean material so that it can stretch a little bit with me throughout the day. And then for longer road trips, I personally just choose to wear something like joggers or leggings, something that's actually like a athletic, stretchy material. When you're on long road trips, usually the goal is not to be super duper stylish or look super duper professional. It's just to get you from one place to the other. So I'm personally totally cool with wearing an athletic pant while I'm doing a long road trip like that. And that is a bit more comfortable for me as I'm in a seated position for a long period of time. And then the next comfort consideration that I started doing a lot more often, didn't used to do this, really glad I started doing it, is wearing some kind of fabric between my skin and my gun. Whether that's getting one of those bandeau bras and wearing that down on your hips. Yes, guys, you can do that too. We're not gonna make fun of you for wearing a bra around your hips. And also just getting something like a plain tank top. Usually when my husband's carrying, he's wearing either just a plain white cotton t-shirt between his skin and his gun, or he's wearing a really tight dry fit shirt. And for me, I'll wear just a cotton tank top. And I found that one of my most comfortable tank tops for wearing when I'm carrying, and something that I'm gonna prioritize wearing when I'm on long road trips, is my tank top that actually has 2 layers to it. I couldn't really tell you where to find this kind of thing, but having maybe a thicker fabric between yourself and your skin for longer road trips adds a little bit of cushion for the belt that you're wearing, and it also is just more comfortable keeping the texture of the grip off of your skin. And at the end of the day, a lot of these comfort considerations also help you with concealment. Adding a wedge to your holster can majorly help with concealment. Selecting a gun belt that's not too stiff can absolutely help with concealment. And selecting pants that aren't too tight can also help with concealment. And all of these things are beneficial, whether it's helping you with concealment or helping you with all-day comfort while you're carrying appendix. And inevitably, I'm sure that there will be comments down below about how carrying shouldn't be comfortable, it should be comforting. I have an entire video on that topic. Absolutely, carrying should be comfortable. Of course, carrying a gun will never ever be as comfortable as it is to not carry a gun, because you've strapped a metal object to the front of your body. It's not going to be as comfortable as not carrying a gun, but it should absolutely be comfortable enough that it's not something that's causing you pain or major discomfort throughout the day. And don't forget to check out the resources down in the description. Thank you guys for watching this series and kind of following along as we go through how to carry in and around your vehicle, and I'll see you guys in next week's video.